Gambling destroying professional sports. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, July the 13th, and just freshly back from San Diego. And the big question is professional sports being destroyed by gambling? And my answer is no. I think that sports are being ruined by governments around the country trying to overtax the professional gambler and gamblers in general. And of course, the big, beautiful bill, which also penalizes gamblers a little bit. You know, if we remember, there are illegal bookmakers, there are offshore bookmakers that we have had for a long time. The legalized gambling gives us a better view of how to police the sport because it's not going to change. There's going to be gambling. We've had many scandals in history, and I'm sure there's scandals to come. But if you don't have organizations policing them and you put them back offshore and you put them back in the hands of illegal bookmakers, then you're going to end up with the same problem of not being able to police your sports. So at the end of the day, we need to make the legalized gambling operations more feasible and more easy to run so that we can continue to monitor the sports and continue to keep them on the up and up. But of course, local governments and state governments and the federal government doesn't get it and are so fucking greedy that they want more money on a sport, on a business that only has what they call a 5% hold anyways on a good year. So the answer is no, it is not destroying it. The answer is that we need to keep them where the legalized operations that are run state by state can keep control and keep handle on what's going on. That's the bottom line. Okay. And of course, you want to talk about bad industries, you know, Freddie Mae and Fannie Mae, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Okay, now using a new way to judge loans and how to give loans with their new Vantage Score 40. Look, this is the same problem we ran into in 2008. You're making money available to too many people who can't afford it. Of course, that is the scam of the credit situation, where we continue to get people credit cards that can't afford them so that we can have them become revolving debtors and paying off bills forever and typically way overpaying for goods and services because they're buying things they can't afford and then they're paying money they don't have just to make these banks and these lenders all that much more money. I mean, again, we need to be stricter on credit, not more open. And that, of course, that goes into now, you know, rate cuts, which will rate cuts bring prices down? No. The answer is rate cuts will increase inflation. Rate cuts will bring housing back up because, of course, housing is a game now of dollars. Okay. It's not the American dream and you bought your house and you stayed in your house and you became where houses become as liquid as stocks because of the low interest rate. And again, I think that it's a mistake. I think that President Trump is wrong on this issue because it will only create inflation. I think that what we really need to do is we need to quit spending so much money, okay, and quit increasing the deficit so that the interest rate is not that big of a deal, okay? You hear the argument that, well, our debt service is high. Well, maybe if we didn't have so much debt, our debt service wouldn't be so high, okay? Now, of course, if you look at the FOMC, their minutes came out, and you know I don't know why they do the minutes, but we now know that 10 out of the 12 Fed presidents are more hawkish than dovish. Okay, which means that they think rates should go higher, which I do think is correct. And I think if you would allow the free market to determine rates, you would find out that rates should be higher. Okay, uh, you know, there's a big issue with this Epstein list. Does it exist? We know it exists. Okay. So who's taking advantage and who's not delivering it? Is it Bondi? Is it whoever? Again, I don't know. But I certainly, you know, if we go back a few years ago, remember the Kraken report, I mean, let's get this information out. I'm sick and tired of bullshit that we have to deal with. Okay. Uh, Federal judge orders Trump administration to halt immigration operations without probable cause in California. Isn't illegal immigration probable cause by itself? I mean, isn't that something more of an oxymoron? I mean, if they're here illegally, is that not probable cause? Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but I think you got to wonder about our court system. And certainly, as you know, and I've made it very clear here many times, I'm tired of appointed judges. I would like to see judges elected, just like anything else. Okay. And of course, is are John Comey and or Comey and Brennan going down? Well, there's talk that there'll be an investigation about the Russian hoax and about many other things. Look, at the end of the day, they're both dirty. Okay. But again, they're not the only ones, but they're both dirty. Okay. This is the problem in which we live under, is that we have too much freedom on things that we're not supposed to. Okay. Our leaders, our people in charge, take advantage of a lot of things and push things the way that they want them. And I think that is a problem. And I think Comey and Brennan deserve to go to jail. Okay. Along with Dr. Kevin O'Connor, who was Biden's doctor, who is now taking the fifth. Okay. Look, he's taking the fifth. Why? Because of course he knows he was wrong. Of course he knows he was supposed to identify that Biden was lost in la la land. Okay. I mean, again, think about what's going on in our government, and think about what's happened. I don't know, it depends how old you are, but let's go back the last 50 years. It certainly has become a hell of a lot worse. And of course, the debt spiraling out of control and everything else that's going on, and the lies that we are told. And of course, one of the biggest liars and one of the biggest offenders of things from the government issue is what they do with big pharma. I mean, there are drugs out there that cure and can be very good, but of course, the government holds them back along with big pharma so they can make money. I mean, you first you create a disease to create a drug for it, okay? Let alone that probably some of the major diseases that we have in this country are probably curable, with the exception of they don't want to cure them because it takes away from the money that they make. If you think about it from a skeptical, from a viewpoint of being concerned, I mean, look at our victim and some other drugs. And there's a drug that's, that I read about over the weekend, that, for pain and for other things that they've kind of banished. Now, why would they do that? Well, because again, it's like a drug dealer. You get them hooked you early, you keep them on drugs forever. Okay. So it's a constant revenue to the pharmacy, to the big pharma, let alone if they cured it, then of course that revenue stream would dry up. So, I mean, again, look, I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying I've something that I've always thought. And if I look at other products, this planned obsolescence, the planned things we do, no bueno. So we'll see what happens. A lot more to go. But in the meantime, we're going to step out here for a break. This is Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, July the 13th. We're going to come back with our market report right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. What's up, kids? Well, again, as you know, we have sponsors, and those sponsors are our brokerage partners. And of course, I have many different brokers, but certainly if you want to check out the ones I'm recommending here, I think they're great and I think they're good. But I think what you should do is always be diligent and check out those who can potentially help you. And of course, our partners are TRADIER Brokerage, which $10 a month for commissions flat saves me over $100,000 a year. And of course, there's Capital Trading Group, who does all of our futures and commodities trading, and our partners is on a couple of products. ITM Trading for all your gold and silver needs. Our high school program, the Spooky Express for your offshore betting needs, which, as you know, my opening line. And of course, our brand new partnership with the Joy of Mom, which is an organization to help moms out with all kinds of issues and problems. But check them out. And of course, in the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and our market report. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, July the 13th. And of course, markets last week had an interesting week. They didn't do much. Got a little bit hammered towards the end of the week. It'll be interesting to see how they open tonight, and what they look like with a lot of the tariff talk over the weekend. But as we look across the board, the indexes were down across the board, and we are short across the board. And again, I'm not saying that the tops are in. I don't have any idea. It's the markets are so slow. It's one of the big issues is the lack of activity is a bigger problem than anything else. So we really don't have a good read. Certainly, if we continue to be slow, I would suspect these markets to continue to work their way higher. And of course, as we look at some of the other markets, the dollar last week a little bit higher for the week, but we don't trade it, but we would be long if we did. The euro currency was lower. We are still short. The notes were lower. We are short. The bonds were flat. We are long. Bitcoin had a big up week. We are now flat, or will be flat tonight. Gold charging a little bit higher again. We were long. Silver was higher. We are short. Platinum continues to push higher, which if we traded it, we don't trade it. It's not liquid enough for us, but if we did it, we'd be short. Copper continues to charge higher. We're long. The grain markets continue to be weak sisters. We're short wheat, which was lower. We're long corn, which was lower. Soybeans were still flat. It looks like soybeans are going to test that $10 level. Cattle continues to push higher. It's amazing, but this is why you don't fight the markets when they're moving. Again, cattle's up to new highs once again. Hogs continue to struggle a little bit. I mean, they're higher, but again, we're looking for a spot to buy them and still have held off. Natural gas continues to push its way towards $3. We're flat, and crude oil had a big up day on Friday and continues to charge. I would look to be a seller at 70, but we are long. In the meantime, again, I think that as long as the market stays slow and lack of participation, there's not much to do. And I think it's when you're dealing in a news-driven market and the cycles that we are, I think you'd be very careful here. It is a challenging market. And again, it is slow. So as long as it stays slow, as I continue to see it drifting higher. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, July the 13th. We're going to step out here for a break. We'll be back with our commentary right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. Well, kids, again, just a reminder, our brokerage partners, TRADIER Brokerage, Capital Trading Group, ITM Trading, Spooky Express, the high school program, and the Joy of Mom. Check them out. And of course, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with my commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, July 13th, just freshly back from San Diego. And I'll tell you, what an experience that was in San Diego. From the traffic to the expensive, everything is so expensive. I don't know how people live in California under that regime. It is so ridiculously expensive for everything that, again, God bless you. But I mean, you look at San Diego, just a beautiful city, but beautiful weather, beautiful ocean, but all the real estate is all beaten down, old stuff. It just, to me, I don't get it. But again, it's not for me to get. But certainly the state of California has voted against bringing in gambling, which, our opening of the show was gambling. And what has it done? But there's so much money that could do so much good from a tax base in California. I cannot understand how the residents of California continue to vote down legalized gambling when they have Indian reservations there. So they do have some form of gambling, but they don't get the tax rate benefit from it. Why wouldn't they want to bring in what New York has done and so much money to potentially clean up that state, or at least stop overtaxing the people that live there? Because if you're in California and you make less than $150,000 a year, you're living in poverty. And to me, I saw it firsthand in a beautiful city. And I just don't get it. I don't get how you guys think about it. But certainly, if it were me, I'd be voting for legalized gambling to get that tax base and hopefully save me some tax dollars. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd, Bubba Horwitz. I hope you have a great weekend, everybody. And thanks for listening. We'll see you later.